Hello and welcome to Janette's TV. I'm your host, Janette Burke. And today we are continuing our talk about the smart home with two more wonderful products that will make for great Christmas gifts underneath the tree. And as you know, COVID's changing our lives in so many ways. And many of us are still putting more money into our homes via renovation and technological advancements. So that's why I'm very delighted to bring back for the second time Marc Saltzman, who is a technology evangelist. And you might know him because he's been seen all over. He's a speaker, he's a podcaster, he's a TV show host, he appears on all kinds of TV programs as a technology expert. He also writes. And I welcome back to Janette's TV today and Janette's TV podcast, Marc Saltzman.
Hey, Janette, thanks so much. Pleasure.
It's my pleasure too. So last time we were talking about the smart home, and then we're going to continue to talk about that. And we're just going to jump right into the products this time.
Sure.
I do want to give you a little bit of a chance to talk to us about your stuff, and I'm going to give that to you at the end.
Sure.
Okay? Okay. So, but we'll do the products first.
Sure.
So we have two more products that will make for really good holiday gifts. I know people think, oh, Christmas is canceled. Well, it's not. You may not be having your house full of people, but you will still be having gifts underneath the tree. Mm-hmm. So let's give them two more gifts that they could buy.
Sure. So one of the two is, I think, great for anyone that has an iPhone, and that is the new Apple Watch Series 6, which I've got on right now. So every year, Apple refreshes their smartwatch line, and they add several new features every year. Sometimes it's more of a cosmetic upgrade. Other times it's additional sensors, maybe more health or fitness related. But this year, it's a pretty significant upgrade, I'd argue. So it's called Apple Watch Series 6. I should also mention that Apple also unveiled Apple Watch SE, which is more of a value-priced smartphone. So it's 300 and change instead of 500 and change for the higher end one, the Apple Watch Series 6. So as your viewers likely know, Apple Watch is what we call a wearable. So it's a computer for your wrist that you can activate with your fingertips or your voice. So it has built-in Siri. You can take calls on it, read texts, read and reply to emails. You can get directions somewhere. You can get information by raising your wrist and asking your personal assistant for some information like the sports scores or anything that you're curious about. You can buy things at retail. So it's got Apple Pay. You just tap your wrist on one of those contactless terminals or just above it, and it will have a transaction with the debit and credit cards that you set up in advance. It is your fitness device.
It sounds like your phone or computer on your wrist.
So these are things that the previous generations have already done. It's your fitness device. It can count your steps, measure your heart rate and all that. Speaking of your heart rate, over the last couple of years, it has really evolved into a fantastic health device. So for one, they added last year an electrocardiogram, believe it or not, an ECG that can measure anytime there's something, an abnormal activity with your heart. It could detect it, ask if you're okay, like an arrhythmia or something, and it'll ask you if you're okay. And if not, it can contact your caregivers, your loved ones, or they'll call emergency services.
That's worth it alone.
Amazing.
Because you can't put a price on health.
Yeah, so I love writing as a journalist. I love writing for seniors. I write for AARP and Zoomer, for example. And there's a whole trend, a whole movement called aging in place, which is how do we keep our loved ones living longer independently at home instead of moving into a long-term care facility, right? And especially with COVID, we want to try to keep them at home as long as possible.
Yes.
So they not only did Apple add an ECG or a EKG, but they also added fall detection last year.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, so if it detects a fall, which often happens for those not so stable on their feet, it again will ask you, did you fall, are you okay? And if you don't tap, yes, I'm okay, it will contact the people that you identified for them to call, like your daughter or your son.
Okay, that's really interesting because just to get the monitor,
you have to pay monthly for that.
I know,
yeah,
it's
like
very
Lifeline.
expensive.
Yes, right. So I think those services, those companies that have the wearable pendants, that do charge a monthly fee, they're not happy with Apple Watch because you don't pay for that fall detection. There are other features that those have. But now this year, not only did they add a better battery and a brighter screen and a faster processor, but they also added a pulse oximeter or a blood oxygen monitor inside the Apple Watch. So not only does it have the electrocardiogram and fall detection and a heart rate monitor and all that, but it also can now detect what your blood O2 levels are like, and if they fall below a certain threshold, like 94% or so, 95%, it could be a sign of respiratory problems or cardiac or even brain issues, and it'll let you know that there's a potential problem. Now look, Apple says this is for health and wellness. Don't rely on this as a medical device because they have to protect themselves. But it does what it claims to do. There are sensors underneath. There's the crystals, and there's like sensors. There's underneath the watch that can shine light into your wrist, into your blood cells, and measure the red blood cell.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, it's talking. If you cover the watch, it'll tell you certain things. So how fantastic is that? That it is
I think
now
it's
a blood
amazing.
O2. So it's the
I
first
just
time
have a
we've
couple
seen that.
questions about it.
Yeah.
So in addition, could it read your blood for your diabetes?
No, there are other innovations there.
Yeah, because
that
you can do that on certain smartphones already.
So what you could do is like the Libre from the Libre device is a wearable patch that you can tap your phone. The Freestyle Libre it's called. Yeah, that's a fantastic innovation because it's like a wearable patch instead of having to prick your finger all the time. But no, not yet. But give Apple some, I mean, they've really gone above and beyond, shameless plug. I wrote the book Apple Watch for Dummies, and I'm now on the 4th edition of the book. Some years it's a minor upgrade.
You're a celebrated author at least 16 times, and I think there's a 17th in the works.
Well, that's the one I'm working on, but this is an upgrade, so I don't know if it counts as like a real, I don't count like versions of it, but this year Apple has added quite a bit. They've made it twice as bright for the always on screen. So before, with the previous versions of Apple Watch, until last year that is, if you weren't looking at your watch, it was black. So there was a bit of a delay if you wanted to look at it and activate it, right? But now it's always on. So even if your hand is down at your side, you glance down, it's always on. So it really is, it's like an all-in-one device.
How does it work? Do you have to charge it up?
Yeah, so you charge it up. I mean, a lot of people get in the habit of charging it up every night, but it can also measure your sleep. So it depends on what you want. It can tell you if you woke up when and for how long. And you can share that information with a physician, right?
So is there an option to print it out?
Yeah, if you want from your iPhone, because for a deeper dive of everything the Apple Watch can do, you would open up the Apple Watch app on your iPhone. Two things to keep in mind. One is that you do need an iPhone to set it up, but there's this new family mode that allows you to do it without an iPhone. It's meant more for kids. And there are some models that take an eSIM, it's called, an electronic SIM, which is usually that little card you put in a smartphone for cellular service, but it's about $10 a month in Canada. And what it does is it allows your watch to operate as a phone even when your smartphone isn't nearby. So if you're going out for a jog and you're streaming music from your Apple Watch to your earbuds, which you can do, and a call comes in or a text, an emergency text, you don't need your phone. You may not want to bring your phone on a jog. So now you can even take a call as if this was your phone. That's optional. There are some models that have that and some that don't.
So with all that, one has to ask, do you really need a phone anymore if you can put basically the whole thing on your wrist?
It sounds like, it sounds redundant because it can do everything your iPhone can do perhaps. But it is meant to be a small screen that is glanceable technology, right? You want to see what time it is, you can change from all the different clock faces. You want to see what your fitness levels are like. Oh, I need to be more active. It'll even remind you to breathe throughout the day, and you can do exercises. You can play games on it.
Eat.
So to answer your question, it does a lot of the same things a smartphone does, but I don't see yet anybody saying, you know what, I don't need a phone anymore, because there is something about a larger screen for you to type. Like here you have to dictate if you want to type something, right?
Yeah, so that lends me to my next question. It has wonderful technology, and we were getting back to if you're going to fall or something like that, if you're a senior. But the one question I do have is that many seniors A, can't see something that size.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Or B, are not technologically savvy and they wouldn't know how to work it or turn it off or what have you. So how do you maneuver around that?
It's a really good question because it is such a small screen. So I recommend, if those who are buying Apple Watch for their parents or grandparents, which is a popular trend for all the health benefits that the Apple Watch has, that what would really make that gift meaningful is if you actually took the time to help them set it up. And once you get going, it's pretty intuitive. Again, because it has Siri built in, instead of having to squint to, or if they don't have the dexterity to tap little things, and maybe their hands are even shaky, you can really just raise your wrist.
Or they have arthritis.
Right, exactly. Or for whatever reason, or they have eyesight issues, they could use the voice part because it is easier than tapping.
So it would activate all functions can be activated through the voice.
And it integrates with your smart home. Like you could say, unlock the front doors, or you can glance down and see who's at your door with a video doorbell app. Like it all connects.
So that can go on the phone too, the video doorbell?
Yeah.
How about the video camera outside your door?
Yeah, all the cameras. The thermostat, you can raise your wrist and say, drop the temperature by 2 degrees. You could say, you could be cooking in the kitchen and say, set an alarm for 10 minutes from now. Like a timer, set a timer for 10 minutes from now. You can ask for a recipe. It's a lifestyle device.
It's amazing how much we have come to live like the...
I asked for recipes, sorry.
What are we cooking today?
Chicken, I think.
Okay.
But
I think it's really amazing how close we've come to basically living like the Jetsons.
Yeah, it sounds like science fiction, but Apple Watch has really done a good job. There are other products that Apple makes that I might say, oh, you might want to consider this instead. But when it comes to smartwatches, they've nailed it.
So is there anything about that watch that we need to know that you haven't told us? Like something like the batteries might die out?
No, so they've gotten better over the years, where the Apple Watch can last a lot longer, as I mentioned. They've worked on battery management, put in a larger battery, and so on. Here's a neat trick. So a lot of people know that you can set a reminder by time, like, tomorrow at 10 a.m. remind me to call mom or whatever.
Yeah, like a schedule type thing.
So you can do that easily with Apple Watch. But what you might not know is that you can actually set... It's going to remind
Mom,
me.
You're going to hear from your son tomorrow.
Who's doing the interview? Is it me or the watch? The Apple Watch is the star of Janette's TV.
I'm sure your mother will be happy to hear from you tomorrow, Mark.
But so tomorrow morning at 10, it's going to remind me to call her. But you might not know that you can set reminders by location. So you can say, when I get home, remind me to call mom. Or when I leave the office. Or when I get to the coffee shop at the corner of 123 and ABC Street, it will say, like, remind me to do this, and it'll remind you by location, not just by time.
Good.
Really cool.
And when we're back to traveling again outside our local parameters, it can remind you to phone home and say, I'm okay.
It can translate languages. It can give you directions to your hotel. It could actually get you into your hotel door. Wow. In some hotels, they'll program your watch. Instead of getting a key or a card, you just tap it.
Oh, that's great. So the only thing I could see maybe going wrong with it is if you got it wet.
No, it's actually waterproof.
Oh, it's waterproof.
Yeah, you can actually swim with it. That's one of the exercises you can do with Apple Watch.
You take a shower with it?
You can take a shower with it, yeah. There's a little button that spits water out of the watch as well. It's
so
pretty
you don't
wild.
have to worry about anything.
No, it's pretty wild.
That sounds to me, and what's the price point?
So this is about if I'm not mistaken, it's $569 to start for the latest model. But for 300 and change, I think 350 or so, you can get the Apple Watch SE. By the time this airs, prices can change, but that's about $300 lower for the SE, which doesn't have all the bells and whistles. It doesn't have the blood O2 monitoring.
But even for $569, you're really getting a lot of bang for your buck.
It's a luxury item without
But
question.
it's also a lot of bang for your buck. It's doing a lot of things.
Yeah, and there's different bands you can choose from. Lots of different materials of the watch. There's 2 different sizes.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty.
And so you can change the color of the band to match with the outfit.
Your decor. Yeah, see, I got the blue rocking, the blue thing. No, that wasn't intentional. That was accidental.
Sure it was. When you're with me, you got to be coordinated.
That's right. Okay. So good. 2 thumbs up.
So
for the Apple Watch.
let's move on now to the Peloton Bike.
Yeah, the Peloton.
What was I saying? Peloton. I meant to say Peloton.
All good. So Peloton's been popular for a couple of years. Then people made fun of that commercial late last year. I don't know if you remember that whole thing, but Peloton is back, and they ended up having the last laugh because of COVID. More people wanted to work out from home.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it makes sense. People are afraid to go to the gym.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course, with numbers rising the way they are, it's a valid concern.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, yes, you can do your virtual online classes, but not everybody likes that either. So you're right. They did have the last hurrah.
They did. So Peloton has a new bike simply called Peloton Bike Plus. And this is a stationary cycling bike that is a spinning bike. And there are live video classes that you can take from various Peloton studios, that they're mostly, I believe, in New York, where you can choose the instructor you like, the time of day you like, the kind of music you like, and there are pre-recorded ones too. So it doesn't have to be live, but there is a sense of community among Peloton members. And it's a spinning class that you do from home, now with a gorgeous, almost 24-inch HD touchscreen monitor that for the first time, unlike the last model, swivels around full 180 if you want, so you can do even workout exercises on the floor as well, and pivot however you like. And it does work with Apple Watch, by the way. That's optional. It has a wireless connection. Now, as you likely know, with spinning bikes, whether they be in a spinning studio or at home, is that there's a tension bar, there's like a resistance bar, and then there's the cadence for how loose or difficult you want the tension to be. So the way that these classes work is that you can, it'll say to you, okay, let's move the cadence down here and let's move the tension here, gives you a number, and you manually can do it. Or with this model, it will synchronize with what the instructor says, and you can have it set the resistance for you automatically, which is pretty wild. And the classes vary in length, they vary in difficulty. You choose if you're a beginner or an expert or somewhere in between. You can, you follow that instructor. There's like a sense of family there. You can follow other friends who are on their Peloton bike. There's a gamification element, as we call it, where you're rewarded for completing classes. You get little, trophies and things like that, and share that information if you want through social media or through your friends. It's totally optional. And so it's a new bike that's been better designed with a touchscreen, better audio. There's like a sound bar in there with 4 speakers. The swiveling feature is new. You get the cycling shoes. They snap in. It's a great ride. You can even do more like nature and scenic rides if you want.
Oh, that's
if you want, you can have a virtual, like somebody went and shot, like, riding through the mountains of wherever,
nice.
right?
That's
Utah, that kind of thing. And you could do that if you don't want to take a class. But most of the time you're in a class, they're yelling at you, come on, you can do it, motivational, and live or pre-recorded classes. So Peloton Bike Plus has done a really good job.
And I like the community aspect because, so many of us are feeling isolated.
Yeah, 100%.
And, it's one thing if you're living in a home that you don't feel trapped in because you have, other things in the home. It's another, or when you're feeling confined because you don't really have enough space.
And it's not a huge bike. Like, you can fit it in even smaller areas. It's not
even an apartment.
Yeah, no, 100%. You can fit it in an apartment or a condo in most cases, and it doesn't take up a huge footprint. The newer model or the older one. So keep in mind that it isn't cheap. So I know you started off this segment talking about gifts. This is something that, budget permitting, you might want to treat yourself or your partner to something like this.
And if you're not traveling.
Yeah, right. Everybody's got different budgets, but if you can justify the expense by not going to a gym, for example, that kind of thing. So
many people waste $800,000, maybe $1,200 or more a year in the gym, never go to the gym.
So the older Peloton bike, which is still for sale, has dropped down to, I believe, it's $24.95. This new bike is $32.95. So again,
the vacation you're not taking.
Right. And then you pay $49 a month for the classes.
$49 a month.
Yeah, that's right. There's a free trial and things like that.
So
it's a subscription
bike
service
with
after
that
that.
price.
And there's financing and stuff if you want. But
that's what I was going to ask you. Can you have payments, or do you have to come up with the whole thing?
Peloton is offering payments, and if you have viewers in the U.S., there's also a trade-in program. I don't think it's in Canada yet, where if you have an older bike and you want to trade up to the new Peloton Bike Plus, you'll get a credit for your older gear.
So that's
that kind
pretty
of stuff.
fair.
Yeah. So it's it's a fantastic product. Like my wife's a fitness instructor, and the actual hardware is fantastic. The service is great. The classes, if you are looking, this is the cream of the crop, like for cycling bikes.
It's also
bikes.
actually as an exercise mechanism.
Yeah.
It's a write-off as well. You know, like there is a health benefit that you can write it off.
If you can get crafty with those write-offs, then you can
it's
justify
on your
it.
taxes, and I mean, if that saves you a bit of money and also gives you the advantage of having the bike, why not, right?
Yeah, I'm not apologetic for the price. I don't work for Peloton, but my job is to look at tech that covers all industries. Whether we've talked today about health and fitness, right? The Apple Watch and Peloton.
Is there anything about this bike that you haven't told us that we should know?
No, not that I can think of. I wanted you to know and your viewers about the monthly.
Does it break down?
Does
it have any problems that way?
No, not that I'm aware of. No, not at all.
Okay.
But you should know about the monthly service because not everybody knows that.
That's an extra.
Yeah, that's right.
$49.
Yes, you got it. In Canada.
In Canada,
yeah,
so
it's a little bit less in the States.
Okay.
The equivalent, right?
Okay. I think it sounds fairly okay, doable. Maybe not for all, but at least for a lot. A lot of people could do it.
Yeah.
All right, so before we close out, I would really like you to tell my audience about you and what you're doing. I know you have your Tech It Out, it's syndicated.
Yeah, so I have a radio show and podcast in the US called Tech It Out. It airs on 106 radio stations a week. That's the 1 hour show. There's also a 1 minute daily tech update. And in Canada, I have 5 shows. Most of them are called Tech Talk. So it's just a different branding. They're Tech Talk. It's in Toronto and Montreal and Winnipeg, London, Ontario, and Ottawa. And it's a lot of fun. So I interview guests. They could be, the head of a company that's doing something neat, whether it's a small startup or a big company like a Samsung or a Microsoft or what have you. I interview experts and analysts. So
it has to have a technology or gaming
it doesn't have to have a hard tech angle. The tech or geek lifestyle is great. I just had on Peter Nowak, who's the author of a book about real-world superheroes. It's not techie, but comic books and superheroes, it's kind of geek culture, if you will. So or I'll have a celebrity on. I'll have George Takei from Star Trek or Joe Coy, the comedian, and ask them, what tech do you use on the road? What's your favorite app? What gadget can't you live without? What video game would you bring to a desert island? And ask people who aren't known as techies, but they're just interesting guests. Yeah, so that's been a lot of fun. I spent a lot of my time producing and hosting those radio shows. And then again, the American show, Tech It Out, is a podcast as well.
And what about Tech Impact? Are you still doing that?
Yeah, so Tech Impact is a TV show on Bloomberg TV in the US only and on Fox Business. And we were on hiatus because of COVID. Our studio is in Miami. I'm not able to go to the US at this point. So the show is on hold. But we just started it last year. We have a couple episodes under our belt. Tech Impact is it's less about gadgets and more about the impact of technology on society. The good, the bad, the ugly, and where are we going in the future? Automation.
What do you think is the good, the bad, and the ugly?
Well, how much time you have? As much as I'm a technology evangelist.
Like a little summary.
I call myself, as you said, a tech evangelist because I like to preach about the benefits of technology, but there are some real concerns with it, like addiction. Screen addiction is a real thing. Everything in moderation, I always say, right? I wouldn't want my kids to be on their computers or smartphones all day. They've got to socialize.
Well, they are now with virtual learning.
Unfortunately, Hopefully that's not long term. No, there's problems with tech, of course, right? We don't know about some of the long-term effects of radiation, things like cellular radiation and 5G and Wi-Fi. Just to err on the side of caution, don't go to sleep with your smartphone beside your head. Common sense. And also, don't put the smartphone here if you're a young female because it can cause infertility. I don't know if there's any proof. I say just err on the side of caution and don't hold the phone up to your head when you're on the phone. Get speakerphone or right. We don't know. So look, tech. There's nothing perfect, obviously. So I just try to.
But I mean, there's no denying that we are living in the smart generation, and we're going to keep having smart everything and smart homes and smart cars and smart we're not getting away from it. internet,
Yeah,
right? It's only
they're
going to
getting
get
smarter than we are, unfortunately.
Soon we'll have smart money.
That would be nice. Sure. Well, again, you can already
Smart
tap your wrist. That's
currency.
kind of smart.
Yeah. It's be interesting to see what the future holds.
I love it. I'm excited about where we're going in the next couple of decades.
I also wanted to just make mention of the fact that in addition to being a freelance journalist and a published 16-time, almost 17-time published author, you are also a speaker. You go out and well, now you do virtually
now it's webinars.
Give talks about technology and gaming.
Thank you.
So Marc is really the expert go-to for anything tech and gaming.
Thank you.
And it's really been a pleasure.
Likewise.
It was worth the 2 years of wait. And, okay, guys, you have a chance to win a wonderful gift. Compliments of Marc here today, and
it's actually Homedics. I can't take credit for it. They're the company that makes
Homedics. Thank you so much.
Okay.
To both of you. Go ahead.
My
tell
pleasure.
us about
Yeah, it's the Homedics UV Clean Phone Sanitizer. So it's a $99 pouch that uses ultraviolet light to kill up to 99.9% of bacteria and viruses on your phone's surface, as well as other things you want to throw in there, like your car keys, your wallet, jewelry, what have you. You just press a button and in a couple of seconds it zaps it clean, and perfect for the COVID era. And it's a great product from a company called Homedics, and it's worth $99.
Okay, so if you'd like to claim this, and I know you will, you just look below in the links. There's going to be a description with a link to sign up to win. And you'll sign up and win, and if you are the lucky winner, you will be notified. So please don't miss out on that opportunity.
Good luck. It's nice
I
to
thank
see
you so much for being here. And before we close out, I just want to tell my audience that we now have a Patreon channel and link, and we would love, well, rather it's an account and link, and we would love donations of any size, $2 and up. However, if you donate and you love my content and you support it, and I really hope that you do, if you donate between $50 and $75, we will send you a t-shirt of your choice in the color that you want, in the size that you want. You can have our new merch, either with the logo on it, Janette's TV logo, Your Life, Your Way tagline, or you could find an inspirational saying that either myself or one of my guests have used in one of our episodes, and you can have that as well. With a donation of, this next level is 75 to 100, sorry. 75 to 100, we'll send you a beautiful jersey sweatshirt. And these are very high quality products, and they are produced in Canada as well. So you can choose what you like, and you can just go to www.janette, JANETTE, JanetteBurke.com shop. It's right there, and you see all the products, and you see what you can pick from. So we really help us. That would be great if you would love to support us. We'd love to send you, and this one alone is worth $30, so you're getting some good value there. I want to thank you all for joining me today, and for Marc being here as well. And I want to remind you that you can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, Vimeo, YouTube, Instagram, and basically we're everywhere. Hashtag Janette's TV. Please invite your family and friends to join us as well. And until next time, continue to be fabulous. This is Janette Burke, your host, signing off for Janette's TV and Janette's TV podcast.